it really does seem like these two teams are going to be neck and neck the entire season down to the end of the year. And we're just going to see how this, we're just going to have to see how this turns out.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, did you enjoy your off day?
It wasn't my off day. I was working.
I meant mentally from the Yankees.
Yankees were off, but I was working. Yeah, I did. I think we're going to have some fun talking about really putting into perspective just how good Aaron Judge's season has been.
Yeah, we're going to get into that a little later. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And people are letting me know that our videos are not showing up in their suggested videos. So let me know if you're having that issue. And please make sure that you are subscribed, because I know that's also happening. YouTube is being wonky. So subscribe to the channel as many times as you want. Like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when they go live. Today, we're previewing the series against the Reds, which begins tonight. We're also going to discuss just how ludicrous Aaron Judge is in 2024 so far. It's insane how good he's been halfway through the season, and there's more to come. But first, let's talk about the Yankees' position in the AL East standings now that we're here in early July.
Yeah, I feel like it's valuable for you guys for us to continuously update you on this, so we will. And we'll get to the Judge stuff in a little bit because I know you guys are very interested in that. But the Yankees, it's weird how they've like sort of fallen off and had this really bad week, and yet Baltimore didn't really gain that much ground just because Baltimore didn't have a good week. They did gain a little ground. The Yankees had a 3-game lead on Baltimore, and then that series of Baltimore came into the stadium and kind of changed everything. Currently now at the tiebreaker, Baltimore is in first place in the AL East, but they're also tied. The Yankees would be the first wild card right now. I think it's going to be like this all year, and I don't think anyone should really necessarily be surprised, right? We've discussed this all year. It really does seem like these two teams are going to be neck and neck the entire season down to the end of the year. And we're just going to see how this, we're just going to have to see how this turns out in the last week of the season. I really think it comes down to that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the other thing is, people were expecting Baltimore to do well this season, so it's not surprising that they're at the top of the AL East. You know, like some people are acting as if this is a shocking thing, and it's not. The more shocking thing was the Yankees starting off the way they did without Garrett Cole and without Aaron Judge the first month. So,
well, I think when the pitching, when you saw Garrett Cole go down, you kind of like sat there and thought, all right, wild card it is. And then all of a sudden they played so well, and without Judge playing well, and then Judge took off in May, and they had such a good May that you started to really dream about the division. And they could still win the division, but I really do think it comes down to the last 2 weeks of the season. Yeah. Like, genuinely think it comes down to that. So we'll see. I think it's going to matter a lot, though, because, I mean, if they wind up playing Baltimore in the ALCS, which can become a real possibility because of the lack of strength around the rest of the American League, if the Yankees plug up the holes that they have, and you know Baltimore's going to get better at the deadline, I think you're going to want... Now, you'll get a lot of Yankee fans traveling down to Baltimore for those games, but regardless, you're going to want those meaningful games in the Bronx. You just are. So I think it could wind up meaning a thing, and the road is a little easier too. It's just, I think this is going to come down to if they're in this same spot through July, August, and September. If you look at every single one of our updates, and we're probably doing them around once every 2 weeks, we're giving you a standings update. If you look at our standings updates once every 2 weeks, it's probably, if I were to guess, going to be pretty much the exact same notion that we're giving you right now on where they're at in the standings within 3 games, right? It's going to be Yankees up 3, Baltimore's up 3. That's what I think it's going to be the rest of the year.
Considering how bad the Yankees were in June, because it wasn't just the last week, they were bad in June. They still finished 1 game above 500 with the way they were playing.
But if you really take that,
but 1 second, let me finish this. as it was happening, you were thinking, oh my God, they're just so bad this month. And then when I saw that they were 14-13, I was like, oh, they actually, because the way people were reacting, they were comparing it to August of 22. Was that when they had their worst August since like 1990? And so when I saw the final numbers, I'm like, oh, so they still finished above 500. Okay, so that's, I mean, it's not great because it's only one game above 500, but with the way everyone was overreacting to everything.
No, but I mean, look at it. Great teams aren't going to finish 10 games over 500 in every month of a season.
No,
you're going to have
not.
a month where you finish a game over, you finish at 500. That does happen. So, overall, when you look back on it, it's not that crazy, but still, they did end June really bad. They did have a bad stretch. And this could be a stretch this could be a stretch you look back on in September and be like, woof, they really reeled there, but thank God they figured it out. Or it could last longer. I don't think you learned much from the Toronto series, to be honest with you. Like, now being a day removed and thinking back on it, I think you learned that Toronto stinks this year, and the Yankees went even with them, which I don't know how impressed I am with that. Yeah. Right? Like, I didn't see what I need to see out of Rodon. He had a meltdown. So I don't know how. I think you need. Again, I've been standing by this for a while, and you have too. They need the All-Star break. Like they need, and not for it to serve as they need rest, for it to serve as they need time to just decompress and like take their minds off of baseball. Right? You need the guys that aren't going to be in the All-Star game to kind of go to the Dominican Republic for 2 weeks and sit on a resort, or for a week and sit on a resort. Go on vacation, get away, and I think that'll be valuable to them. I do, and I think they need that because they seem like they're reeling as a team and they're kind of stagnant, right? So they need that kind of mental reset, I believe, and thankfully, I think the All-Star game is going to come at a good time for them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You mentioned Toronto. Now, I saw a tweet earlier from someone that said Bob Nightingale was mentioning a bunch of different Blue Jays players who could possibly be available for trades. But then when I looked up Bob Nightingale's actual account, and then when I looked up his articles on USA Today, I didn't see anything about it. And I was like, well, where's this person getting this information from?
I'm not going to lie, too. Bob Nightingale's credibility isn't usually too great when it comes to these kind of sources, too. Yeah. I will say this. I'd be stunned if Toronto traded big pieces. Like, I wouldn't be stunned that they made a few moves, like, with their starting rotation, right? Because they got plenty of guys on there, right? Like, if they moved Kikuchi, right? Like, some team could want him that's trying to make a playoff push, and he'd be a valuable piece to their rotation. I can't see them making moves on big time names that they've acquired. Berrios, Gosman. I don't know why they moved Vlad. I don't. Like Biggio. Like, people keep giving you these options. Toronto could break it down. Listen, at the end of the day, Toronto still has a young core with a lot of talent that all is under the age of 30. Why would they just tear that up? Like, I don't understand that. Like, it doesn't. Yes, they're having a bad year, and I'm not arguing that at all. And they have veteran pieces that they could move around, but you're seeing the names floated around there, like a Kevin Biggio and like a Vlad, and I don't know why they would move those pieces. Like why would you move Jose Berrios? Why would you move Gosman? Those positions don't make any sense. Bichette's another one. They don't make sense of why you would move these players at that age. At their age, it doesn't add up to me. They're all not on big contracts yet. And they've all had great years before. So, like, there is the potential still, and people keep saying this too. Toronto keeps going into every year hoping it clicks with all these guys. And it hasn't happened yet. Okay, but what happens the year that it does? It hasn't happened yet. But who is there to say in 2025, Vlad doesn't hit 320 with Biggio hitting 320 and Bichette hitting 310? Like, that can happen too. So, if you're Toronto, you're going to keep chasing that because why trade away your entire core? I don't know. Those things, I can't see Toronto. Like, I could see them being sellers, and I could see them moving veteran pieces, and because there are some valuable pieces on that roster, but their core young players, I can't see them moving them.
Yeah, no, because like you said, something could happen next year where they finally click, and why would you waste that?
No, it makes no sense. And again,
they still have time to turn things around. They still have time to build the team better around that young core, because maybe it's just not meshing the way they want it to, and it's through no fault of anyone's, and it just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's still time for those guys to lead that team past the first round of the playoffs and in through like maybe the ALCS. Like, I don't think that they would trade the more important pieces. You might see them, as you said, sellers, but you're not going to see them trading away guys like Bichette and Vlad Jr. If they do,
No.
I will dye my hair
stunning.
platinum blonde. I will dye my hair platinum blonde because there's.
It would be stunning to me, because you'd be giving up on this core that you spent so long to build.
Yeah.
I will say too, the most impressive story to the AL East to me, really quick, is the Red Sox. I think the Rays I kind of expected to be around 500. There wasn't a lot going on there. They didn't make a lot of moves in the offseason. I wouldn't have necessarily been shocked if they were the same place the Yankees and Orioles are now, because that's what the Rays tend to do. But yeah. I'm not overall very surprised they're around 500. The Red Sox, I'm stunned that they're this good. I genuinely thought the Red Sox were going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. Like, I'm not kidding, because they didn't have a lot of guys in the on their roster, on their lineup. Their pitching rotation was full of names you've never heard. The only two guys you really have heard of in their lineup are Devers and Rob Refsnyder. And they've, I mean, listen, all credit to them. They've pitched a heck of a rotation. The back end of their bullpen is tremendous. They're scoring runs. They're not scoring a ton of runs, but they're scoring enough to win games. At 5 games over 500, I mean, I don't know about you. I didn't remotely see the Red Sox being this good this deep into the season.
I predicted that they were going to finish last in the AL East, but I also predicted that most of the teams in the AL East were going to finish above 500, and I thought they'd be hovering right around 500, like within 2 or 3 games of it.
I thought they'd win like 83 games.
Yeah, like around there. That's what I was expecting. So, I mean, they could still fall off. Something could happen where, things don't.
But they're on pace for like 88, 90 wins. I mean, I don't think if the Red Sox win 90 games, I mean, no one saw that coming. So they've put together a really, really nice season. They really have. Mm-hmm. Stacey, speaking of someone who's also put together a really nice season, we got to get into Aaron Judge in the next segment.
Yes, we do, because his numbers are it's just we are so lucky to watch him every night. We really are. Mm-hmm. And I think some people don't, and it surprises me that some people don't appreciate it, and that kind of drives me crazy. And we're going to talk about that in segment 2. But first, don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. If you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday, you can ask us anything you want. General baseball, Yankees baseball, feel free. It's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all Fan Mail Friday. Let's call it that. Or you could join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, where you get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, reactions to games. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a good time. Coming up next, Aaron Judge is absolutely bonkers.
I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't really necessarily sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up any bets that I want when I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everybody every day, all summer long. And how about Team USA, right? Copa America. Going forward, the rest of the Copa America, you want to bet Argentina, you want to bet Brazil, you want to bet all these teams that are playing these games locally near you and in one of the best soccer tournaments of the year. Well, you got to go to FanDuel to get those corner kick, to get those match points, to get those qualifying bets in before the games start. All you got to do is head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the noise. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, I wanted to put into perspective just how good of a season Aaron Judge has had, because it literally has been historic at this point. He's had, and he was great in the 62 home run year. It was awesome. He's had plenty of years where even he got hurt and wound up hitting like 38 homers. Like, he's had some just tremendous seasons. And the year he's having this year might be his best season. And that's really saying something because he was pretty much non-existent in the month of April.
Right.
It's astonishing how good his May and June were. His numbers in the month of June, let's just put this into perspective. 409 batting average, 514 on base. He got on base more than half his at-bats.
That's crazy.
864 and 1378 OPS. Insane stuff. 11 home runs, 37 RBIs in the month. I mean, he's averaging well over an RBI per game. I mean, it's just outstanding numbers. Overall this year now, he's hitting .316 with 31 homers and 83 RBIs. He leads the AL in Triple Crown for all those categories. I don't know if he holds up at that. His average usually doesn't sit around .316 for the whole year.
Right.
Usually he dips into like the 290s at some point when he struggles, and then he gets back up to 300. He'll probably finish somewhere around 302. Now, will he win the Triple Crown? I don't see who's catching him in home runs and RBIs.
Right.
But we'll see. I mean, I would love to see him win the Triple Crown, but it's so damn rare that who really knows? I'll tell you this, that will he make the Hall of Fame argument we were having earlier in the year? If he wins a Triple Crown and then eventually gets a World Series, he makes that case a little more interesting. The numbers, just to put into perspective too, because we looked at Bryce Harper's 2021 MVP season, right? And he was amazing that year. He was so good for the Phillies. I mean, incredible year. Harper at the half. So this is the halfway point, right? With Judge, there's 3 months to go in the season. Harper had I just want to go over Harper's numbers that year. Well, let's go over, I have Harper and Ohtani's numbers from last year, and these are the ones I think put into great perspective, because Harper that year was, I mean, he didn't finish unanimous, but it was pretty much a unanimous decision. Like, everyone knew Bryce Harper was going to win the MVP in 2021. And then last year at Ohtani, he did finish unanimous. And let's go over those two guys' numbers. And remember, Judge has 3 months to go, right? Bryce Harper in 2021, 309 batting average, 35 homers, 84 RBIs. That's a tremendous year. And he got hurt that year, too. He missed like a month of time. Basically, Judge did, too. Ohtani last year, where he did finish unanimous, 303 batting average, 44 homers, 94 RBIs. That's insane.
Judge has 3 more months left.
He has 3 more months left. He's going to shatter both of those guys' numbers. He's going to easily pass 100. I mean, Judge, think about this. Aaron Judge right now is 12 RBIs short of where Ohtani finished last year. 12. And we're in July. I mean, he might go past Ohtani for last year by the All-Star break.
Right.
It is. I mean, it's insane, the numbers that we're seeing. Just to put into perspective too, because he broke the Roger Maris 61, and I don't know if he'll do it again this year. I mean, he's on pace to, but that's a really difficult pace to keep up. He's going to have to average like 13 or 14 home runs a month for the rest of the year. That's a really hard pace to keep up, but he could do it. We've seen him do it before, so I'm not saying he can't, but Roger Maris at 141.
One second. And plus, he's already reached 62, so he doesn't have the same pressure, because he did slow down there, for when the pressure of hitting 60, 61, 62 kind of got to him a little bit. And I think now that he's experienced that, it might, I mean, you never know. You could see.
While I agree with you, I mean, just in general, though, I mean, guys have had 31 homers at this point before, in their season, and they haven't reached 62, because it's a really difficult pace to keep up. You're talking about like 15 home runs a month. That's really,
I don't know. I feel
really
like
hard.
People are going to stop pitching to him at some point too, because they're probably going to be sick of him hitting against them.
But Roger Maris in that year finished with 141 RBIs. Aaron Judge is pretty much on pace to shatter that right now. I mean, he's on pace to finish with like 170 RBIs, which is crazy. I mean, if he does, I don't think he will. He probably finishes realistically somewhere in the upper 140s. That's probably where Judge finishes, but which is still an insane year. Let's redo this stat too, because I wanted to see your reaction of this stat. This is the list of players, Stacey, that have had a 1.430 OPS over a 50-game span in any season in history, right? Bonds, Ruth, Gehrig, Williams, Judge. That's over a 50-game span. That is, I mean, you're talking, I mean, maybe 4 of the greatest players that might be 4 of the greatest players to ever play the game. Steroids or not, I don't want to have that argument right now, but those could be 4 of the best players to ever play this game. And I wanted to bring up Baseball Reference, because I did say to you yesterday I was gonna mention to you numbers that previous MVPs in former years have done, right? Let me just read this off briefly, just because. Now, keep in mind, Judge has 31 home runs, right? So he's on pace. I mean, realistically, I don't know if he gets to 62, but it's safe to say he gets to 55, right?
Yeah.
That you're talking 14 more home runs. If he doesn't play, that's including that's single digit home runs the rest of the year for every month. That's not a crazy expectation for Aaron Judge, right? Ohtani's, so let's just say his total, Judge, is at 55, right? Let's just say it's right there, right? You can easily pass it. And let's say it's 150 RBIs, which are two things that he's well on pace to do, right? He'd have to get hurt or fall apart to not put those numbers up. He's proven to us over his career that he will put those numbers up. Yeah, exactly. Let me read off these numbers, right? Ohtani, AL MVP last year. Home runs, 44, RBIs, 95. Acuna, the NL MVP, 41 homers, 106 RBIs. Let's go to the year before when Judge won, 62 homers, 131 RBIs. Let's go to Goldschmidt won the MVP that year. 35 homers, 115 RBIs. Let's go a couple years past, right? Ohtani, 21, 46 homers, 100 RBIs. Harper, 35 homers, 84 RBIs. The year before, Abreu with the White Sox, 19 homers, 60 RBIs. That's the COVID year, right?
Shortened, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to I'll just skip to 19 because that's easier, right? Mike Trout, 45 and 104. Cody Bellinger, 47 and 115. The year before, Mookie Betts, 32 and 80. Christian Yelich, 36 and 110. You get my point. The year before that, Jose Altuve, 24 and 81. Giancarlo Stanton, 59 and 132. And think about how people talked about Giancarlo Stanton's year when he had 132 RBIs and 59 home runs. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge is on pace to shatter the RBI record that he had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the numbers that he's putting up are simply, we haven't seen a guy do this in a while. And especially a non-steroid guy. And I think Yankee fans, we need to put that into perspective of how good he's actually been because it's historic. And it's been that good. Freddie Freeman in 159 games in 2021 when he won the MVP, 31 homers, 83 RBIs in 84 games.
Oh, 159 games.
Oh, I thought it said 84. Yeah. I mean, but just put that into perspective. That's in a full season. Judge just played 80 games. I mean, it's been that ridiculously incredible. Again, I still don't think he reaches this is what my point to the Hall of Fame argument we were having a few months ago, though, is think about he's doing this and still not on pace for a lot of those big time historical, monumental numbers you need to get to be a Hall of Famer. So it is going to be really, really challenging for him to get there. But I mean, this is as good as I've ever seen someone play for the Yankees. And we saw A-Rod's MVP years. I'm not going to ignore that and act like the steroids didn't happen. A-Rod won MVPs and had 150 RBIs in seasons. I mean, he had historically great years. This
he
is
also
better
liked hitting grand slams too, so that helped him.
But this is better. Well, Aaron Judge this year too, but this is better than I ever saw A-Rod play.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. The one thing I'll give for A-Rod in 2007, it was fun seeing him hit those walk-offs in the beginning of the season. The one against the Orioles I missed. It was a Saturday. I was at the dentist and I got home and I had to watch the highlights. I was like, oh. And then there was another one that he hit a walk-off when I was at work and my coworker and I were listening to the game. We both started yelling and our coworkers were just laughing at us because we were like, A-Rod did it again. Because that was just an insane year. Because he came out that year basically like, I don't care. I'm just going to do what I do. He started wearing the high socks and he just had an incredible year. Yeah.
But it's been better
things started changing for Aaron Judge too when he started wearing the high socks. Because it's funny when you see his early highlights and he's wearing the long pants and you're like, that's Judge. Yeah, that's weird. No, it doesn't look right. I don't like that at all. So Aaron Judge is having probably another historic season. And even if he doesn't make it to 62, even if he only hits 55 and gets 150 runs batted in, that's still absolutely incredible.
Yeah. No, and it's in line for his second MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And this one comes after the contract.
Right. Which is
another way to think of it.
Yeah. Just crazy. Because, I mean, honestly, if he didn't break his toe last year, he could have had another year where he could have hit another 50 home runs because he hit 38 when he missed.
What about
all that time?
The year he got hurt when he hit 35 homers and he played in 90 games? He could have won the MVP that year too. I mean, there's plenty of instances of this, so it's just wild.
Yeah. So again.
Yeah.
Coming up, previewing the Yankees and the Reds. The Reds are coming to New York. How exciting!
PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch those winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't have to stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball was heating up, and with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Brianna Stewart and Aja Wilson, you can win up to 100 times your cash watching these girls ball out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code one word LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Yankees, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year-round. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. So don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals at tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. And with over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in the episode description below. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that are covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV Channels app, and remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Stacey, what app do you download?
The SXM app.
That's right, the SXM app, and all you have to do is search what?
Search the word Yankees.
Exactly. That's all you have to do. It's so easy that Stacey did it. So you can do it whenever you guys want. Stacey, 3-game series against the Reds. Exciting series. You get to see Ellie De La Cruz come into the Bronx. One of the most electrifyingly exciting players in baseball right now, especially when it comes to young players like that. What do you need to see out of the Yankees here? Are you going to say you need to see 2 out of 3, or you just want to see improved play necessarily?
No, I want to see 2 out of 3. I want a series win.
The Reds aren't a pushover, though. They're not
No,
great,
I know.
but they're not a pushover.
No, I know, but I'm sick of them. I want July to start off on a good note.
I'd agree with
especially heading into a series with the Red Sox. You know, like I want them to have a feel-good series. I would also prefer if the 2 out of 3. Actually, you know what? No, I don't. I was going to say I would prefer if the 2 out of 3 were either losing the first game and winning the next 2, so you finish the series on a good note, or doing the bookend where you lose the middle one. But I don't want that because I don't want the middle pitcher to lose another start.
I agree with that. Game 1, we'll start with game 1. It's Graham Ashcraft, 4-4 with a 5.45 ERA. Now, his ERA is high enough where the Yankees won't get dominated by him, right? Like it's only really the 4s that they struggle
or
with.
The 7s. You never know.
He's going up against Luis Heel, who's 9-3 with a 3.15. Really weird seeing Heel's ERA in the 3s because all year it was in the low 2s, and all of a sudden the last 2 bad starts have really skyrocketed that up. Kind of upsetting where his ERA is at now. You need a big start out of Heel. You really it's not a big start for him, but for the Yankees, but it's a big start for him. He needs for confidence wise to have a bigger game here.
Like, it's only upsetting because of how he started. If you were looking at this, it's July 2nd, and you see Luis Heel is 9-3 with a 3.15 ERA, you're thinking to yourself, wow, that's nice. Like, that's a good year for him. And then when you realize, oh, okay, his ERA was way lower, he's had 2 bad starts, it kind of changes it a little bit.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I think he was in line to start the All-Star game for the American League. Now he's not going to remotely come close to that, so it's kind of upsetting.
Basically, he crashed into a wall at high speed, and hopefully he will recover and pitch better tonight. We'll see.
Game 2, another 7:00 start. Andrew Abbott, 7-6, 3.41 ERA. He goes up against the guy who, again, ERA is a lot higher than his season has been, but he's had 3 just stinkers in a row. Carlos Rodon, 9-5 with a 4.42 ERA. He's been brutal the last 3 starts. He actually needs to have a big start. Like he needs to get his confidence back because they can't afford him to be bad this year. Even if Cole's back and Heal's good, they need Rodon.
Yeah, no, they really do. They need that extra threat, especially going into the playoffs. You want a strong 3-man rotation, I guess, when you head into the first series, and you would like for Rodon to be one of those guys. And at the beginning of the season, it looked like he was going to be, and just another guy who just crashed like a crash test dummy into a wall at 118 miles an hour. All of a sudden, he was on pace for, because my bold prediction for the season was that he was going to win 17 games. And he was cruising towards that. And now he's 9-5. He can still get to 17, but he has really fallen off in the last few weeks.
And I think more than Heal, they need him to have a big year. More than Heal.
Because Heal, he's never pitched as much as he's pitched. They're going to have to kind of cut down on his starts anyway. You really need Rodon. It's not even just the contract, because I know people are going to be upset about that, but you just need that veteran in the starting rotation, and you need him to turn things around. He cannot have another bad season. He can't lose this season. It was going so well for him.
Exactly. And game 3, the classic 1:00 Thursday start. Now it is the 4th, Thursday or Wednesday. It's Thursday. It is the 4th of July, so you get that little bit of
that's why. Yeah.
But it still is weird. The Frankie Montas revenge game, so it'll be hard to get tickets to this one. 3-6 with a 4.23. His ERA is right in line to dominate the Yankees, and he will too. This is the game, you just know. He's going up against Marcus Stroman, who's 7-3 with a 3.29, but coming off a complete meltdown in Toronto. So really interesting game for that game 3. I don't know how many people will be viewing it because it's the 4th of July. But Frankie Montas revenge game is definitely a storyline.
Well, I will say, 41 years ago on 4th of July, when Dave Righetti threw his no-hitter, I was in my pool in the backyard, and we had people over, and our next-door neighbors had people over, and we were going between houses, and they were coming over to my house to swim because they didn't have a pool. And I watched the last 3 outs of Dave Righetti's no-hitter standing outside the house because I was wet from the pool with a towel wrapped around me on the 4th of July, watching him get a no-hitter. And that was the first one I ever watched. I didn't quite understand what was going on, so my dad had to explain to me everything because I was only 8 years old. And then when I realized I was like, how cool. And then 13 years later, just under 13 years later, I attended Dwight Gooden's no-hitter with my father.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So people do watch on the 4th of July, even if they have barbecues, they just go inside if things are happening. So yeah, you'll see that. I used to have 4th of July tickets with my old season ticket plan, my Sunday plan.
I had them this year. I sold mine.
Yeah. 4th of July, Memorial Day, opening day, Old Timers Day, and then every Sunday. And then of course they got rid of that stuff when the new stadium opened up.
Yep.
Anyway, I can go on a rant about that. I could do a whole episode ranting about how they ruined my season tickets when they moved to the new stadium 15 years ago. It was such a bummer. Anyway, so Yankees Reds, 2 out of 3. Okay. Let's make Meatloaf happy. 2 out of 3. Okay.
I think it's important. Yeah. You got to get a win in this series, especially going into the Red Sox series. You got to get a win in this series.
Yeah. And again, I feel like that last game needs to be one of the wins. You feel better when your last game is a win.
I'd like it to be, but
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know. The Yankees could hit Frankie Montas. Maybe. We'll see. It's that kryptonite though, that ERA between a 4 and a 5. It's just,
you're right.
All season. It's been a problem for the Yankees. One more time. You can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a link in the description under our YouTube videos, a 14-day free trial. You get text from us. You can text us questions and reactions to the game. I try to text you guys back when you're reacting to the games. It's fun. Someone once asked me a question about this hat because I wore it during our interview in December with Michael Kay, and she ended up buying it. So if you need fashion tips too, join the Insiders Club. It's fun. You get top priority on Fan Mail Friday, but you can also ask us Fan Mail Friday questions on YouTube under our videos. There's a pinned comment with a cute little arrow that I've started to do Monday through Thursday. And if you're an insider, you get top priority, but we will still answer your YouTube questions. And remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you guys tomorrow.